So I think that we could all agree here that 2023 was obviously the worst year for the Walt Disney Company, and especially for Bob Iger as the Disney CEO, due to all of the box office failures and everything else happened, of course, with the cost-cutting measures that were applied by Bob Iger in the early stages, and the fact that it so happened to land on their 100th year anniversary at the same exact time they were being called out by Elon Musk, South Park Studios, The Daily Wire, and among other high-status individuals that really put them in the hot seat. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So, Snow White 2025. This is the one live-action remake when it comes to the Disney animated classics that's in jeopardy right now. There's been a lot of drama happening behind the scenes between Rachel Zegler, director Mark Webb, writer Greta Gerwig, and yes, Greta Gerwig is the one that wrote this movie, just to give you guys a heads up there. And everything else happening between Bob Iger and the Disney higher-ups really going into a state of panic over Snow White. Now, in case you guys don't know, there are reshoots looming for this movie with a potential delay from March of 2025 until the summer. Alright, so this is also another terrible sign that 2025 is going to be yet another disastrous year, if not quite as bad as 2023. Now, what's interesting about this is that there's a lot of things going on with, of course, Snow White 2025, and all the drama that's coming along with it involving Rachel Zegler. Let's get into this, shall we? Now, specifically, alright, with, of course, everything related to the Disney live-action remakes, Snow White, I believe, is going to be the worst of all. Now, with many divisions at the Walt Disney Company going through endless setbacks and challenges due to Bob Iger's deliberate agenda, one significant development going on right now has more to do with actress Rachel Zegler and the ongoing fallout with the Snow White 2025 production disaster going on behind the scenes. Now, one serious update to this situation now involves how Zegler is already refusing to do a series of reshoots for the 2025 film, and of course, since she believes that this is a personal act against her from the Disney heads for canceling already 3 major scenes that featured her singing and of course her performance overall in Snow White. Now, after yet another failed test screening that took place recently, Disney is already going through a massive phase right now where they either get Zegler to agree to do the reshoots for Snow White, to redo now all the singing sessions for the film, since her performance in the film was poorly received from screeners, or the Disney executives are going to be left with no choice but to delete all the footage that involves Zegler's singing as Snow White. This is already said to be creating massive heated arguments between Zegler, her agent and manager, which makes up her entire team, going against the Disney heads, as Zegler doesn't want to put more work into this movie as it is, since new lyrics for new songs that director Mark Webb and writer Greta Gerwig created for the film are something that Zegler completely disagrees with, and is creating a lot of creative differences right now. The Snow White reset, so to speak, quote-unquote, that's going on right now is said to be such a disaster that it's even putting many shareholders into panic about what 2025 is going to look like with the first Disney live-action remake since The Little Mermaid in 2023. Already, this is leading to a Disney shakeup, where more and more board members are beginning to speak their mind, and are beginning to urge Bob Iger to not release this movie in theaters after 6 failed test screenings and countless re-edits of the film that didn't end up saving this movie or working in the long run. Reshoots are now, of course, estimated to cost Disney another $30 million total to redo all of Zegler's singing scenes as Snow White, including remaking the CGI dwarfs again, since screeners made it clear to the Disney executives that the designs of these characters would scare away younger audiences for sure, and cause massive walkouts of the theaters. In addition to all of this, writer Greta Gerwig is also doubling down on her agenda with Snow White for the reshoots that will not involve Rachel Zegler. This involves some of the actors who play new characters called the Bandits, and even actress Gal Gadot, who also now finally agreed to take part in remaking parts of the film that actually involve the Evil Queen, and that will fulfill the Disney agenda further, apparently. Now, the string of Snow White test screening disasters are ultimately what led to Disney waking up and realizing just how bad Zegler's acting really was. Now guys, let me just say one thing before I move on. The thing about this whole tug-of-war scenario happening with Snow White, so basically what it boils down to is that Disney wants to do massive reshoots. They don't want to deal with Zegler's scenes that feature her singing because of how terribly it was received by test screeners. At the same exact time, Zegler does not want to put more work into what is already expected to be a disaster, no matter what they do, no matter how many reshoots they engage in, no matter how many rewrites are applied to this movie. As long as you still have the Disney agenda at the forefront, this movie's gonna fail pretty much to no degree that we have never seen before. Now, what's interesting about that is that we know that there's a lot of things going on with Zegler, with, of course, Mark Webb, the director of this film, and Greta Gerwig. So there's a lot of drama going on, ironically, between these three that initially agree with each other about the direction of the singing sessions, the songs for Snow White. We already talked about, by the way, how months and months ago, toward the ending of this movie, there was going to be a remix of the Hi Ho song that is so famous in the 1937 classic, that was going to have a hip-hop, pop music-esque kind of format to it that just was not working at all, and that got completely cancelled outright after the test screeners just felt that this was just horrible, it was not working for a Snow White live-action remake at all, and basically, at the same exact time, Bob Iger knew that this was not going to work. So this is ultimately why I keep saying to everyone that these Disney live-action remakes are not needed. If they want to do anything, maybe if they want to do anything, remake these in 3D animated form in a Shrek style. If they really want to do something unique with the animated classics, this whole, string of events happening between Disney, between the Disney heads, such as, of course, the board of directors, for example, and how now they are even waking up, urging Bob Iger to get rid of this movie and to strictly only release it on Disney Plus, if anything. Moving on. Now, the majority of of course, the footage that was shot back in the summer of 2022 is continuing to fail and create more challenges, even if Zegler agrees to do partial reshoots. Continuity errors are expected due to the film not, of course, undergoing a total reset. And look, that makes sense because they're not going to be reshooting the entirety of this movie. You're going to have mixed footage of Rachel Zegler in there, if Zegler does end up agreeing, where she's, multiple years younger from 2022 until the later portion of 2024. It may very well look a little bit different. Slight differences here and there between different shots of Rachel Zegler, 2.5 years older / younger. So again, there's a lot of things going on here with the Disney executives, the Disney board of directors, Bob Iger, and how this shakeup continues. I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.